Hello and good evening, everyone. This is Shivangi Chabra from Team Espousal. We've had some really interesting sessions today so far, and we are on session number 8 for today. And I hope you all are having a really, really good time. Moving on to the next session for the day, which is on wedding movies, the art of storytelling. A very interesting topic with a bunch of amazing people from different parts of the country. And again, in no particular order, we have Sudheer from Sri Lanka. He's the general manager and co-designer at INBA Exclusives. We have Arjun Kartha, who is the co-founder of Together Studios from Delhi, India. It's great to have you here. From a city of Bangalore, we have Bala Gandhekar, who is from Hoopsters. And last but not the least, we have Ramit Batra, who is also our moderator. Xandra Conway, the co-founder of Conway Films from South Africa, could not join us because of the ongoing problem of load shedding in her country. We're really lucky to not be facing such problems in our country. But moving forward, over to you, Ramit. Please take the session forward. Thank you.
Oh, good. I can finally see people. Hi, Bala. Hi, Arjun. Good
Hey,
evening.
Ramit.
So I'm audible and visible, I think, now.
Yes,
Can you
you
hear us?
are.
Okay. So I am Ramit Batra. I'm a wedding photographer and filmmaker based out of New Delhi, and I have been given the job to moderate the session between Arjun and Bala. So a little about me: I'm a mechanical engineer and ex-assistant director of UTV, and I was a GM of an education organization before I went into wedding photography and films in 2008. So I think today it's just going to be Bala and Arjun, and we are going to be talking about wedding movies and the art of storytelling. So Bala is a graduate of FTII. He's a writer, director, photographer, and publisher. He does ad, corporate, and documentary films, and he has done over 2,000 films across all genres. And he specializes in film on mental health. He also has three coffee table books published as a writer and a photographer. So, oh my God, that's a very heavy portfolio, Bala. So, welcome to
Thanks, Ravi.
Espousal. Please tell us more about Hoopster. I've been hearing about it. Bala, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Ramit. Hi, Arjun. And hello to everybody, if anybody is online watching this. See, basically, I'm a filmmaker. Okay? And I launched a children's magazine called Hoopla Club about 13 years back. And somewhere along the line, I also got interested in a lot of, about mental health. So I made a lot of films on mental health. And then we realized a lot more needs to be done in the space of children and parents. Okay? And that's when Hoopsters came in. Hoopsters is basically I think a first of its kind, non-academic, hybrid education platform. And it addresses children and parents. And our target audience are the corporates, the schools, and individuals. And we specialize in one of our main focus is on mental health, life skills, and parenting. And that's one part of what I do. But apart from that, I'm still a filmmaker. Though in the recent past, less and less people have sort of, remember me as filmmaker. You're one of the oldest and stuff in the business. And that's what Hoopster is. And, so actually I'm not really sure what I'm doing on this show. Because I was never a wedding filmmaker, ever. Okay, because in our generation, it was not considered hip to do anything with wedding. And as a photographer, I used films, so we couldn't afford too many roles. So there are hardly about 2 or 3 roles which somebody would give you, mostly in the family levels, and they would say, photo nikal de. And especially because I was interested in filmmaking and stuff like that, I was the official photographer for any family wedding. So I stopped going to weddings. That's where it came to me. And filmmaking was wedding films are not really there. Because unless you had a 16mm camera or 8mm camera, you couldn't do it. So it wasn't a big thing. And as we grew up, wedding photography industry was not considered the thing, as you hear in the last 10 years or so, where it's become a really big thing to be a wedding filmmaker or a wedding photographer. So that's the basic background. But yeah, whatever I can share, I would love to share.
Wonderful, wonderful, sir. So next we have a very dear friend and wedding photographer and filmmaker. He's based out of Delhi and Gurgaon, an ex-advertising agency ad man. He's co-founder of Together Studios, amongst the first photographers to pioneer the new genre of candid photography. He also started around the same time as I did in 2008, and he's famous for keeping wedding photography fun, realistic, documentary at the same time. His films are a refreshing change from the usual run-of-the-mill videos that we see thousands of photographers doing these days, and that's what stands out about his work. Arjun loves teaching photography as much as he does taking pictures and videos. And Arjun, welcome to Espousal. And over to you. Tell me, Arjun, how is it? How has your journey been so far from ad films to wedding films, and what is the difference that you see between the two?
So I think hi Ramit and hi Bala and hi everyone. Good evening. I mean before I start, honestly, I mean it's I think now the day and age for face to face seminars is back. So but I'm glad to see that we're still doing things online, and it's great to be able to reach out to a lot of people. I have no idea how many people are actually listening to this. I'm hoping it's somewhere near 5-10,000, but but even if it's 5 people, it's good to see all of you, and it's good to be online. So Ramit, to answer your question, look, the one thing that you probably left out in that very long bio is that I studied to be an engineer. And the one thing I took away from engineering is that that was not something that I think God had put me on this planet for. And so I went about my merry way, trying to figure out what actually God had in store for me, and one thing led to another. And I think, as Bala said, the easiest possible medium seemed to be wedding films, okay, because it certainly wasn't hip back then when we started, and it was one of those things that had just started to become interesting. So I happened to accidentally shoot a wedding. This was, of course, way back in 2008. And one thing led to another, and a lot of people came back to me and said, hey, you know what, why are you doing all these stupid things in life? Go shoot weddings, you're good at it. So it was the only one thing that I was good at. I was not good at anything else, and so I said, okay, let's see where this goes, and that's where it started. So the idea back then was to try and figure out, why did boy marry girl and why did girl marry boy, and try and understand, what was the idea behind the wedding, what did it feel like, what did it taste like, what did it smell like, and try and tell that story in pictures and film. So that was the idea back then. I think it's pretty much the idea today as well. I don't think I've done anything different. I just listened to the couples. I tried to figure out what it is that they wanted, and I tried to make it interesting. And that is what I still do. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. All right. So I think now that the introductions are done, now that we know that it's just going to be the three of us, I think I would like to open up with a few questions that we want to talk about the art of storytelling. So since Bala is not from the wedding photography genre or the wedding filmmaking genre, and both you and I are from, we are hardcore wedding photographers and filmmakers, and that is what we do. So I think let's get into Bala's perspective and figure out, Bala, what is your creative process, and how do you produce your films? How do you do the pre-production? How do you make money out of this business? And because you mentioned that you do a lot of films which are related to mental health, related to things that are to be heard by the world. Unlike what we do, which is totally commercial. So how do you sort of go about it? How do you produce it? And of course, the monetary aspect of it.
No. When I say I make documentaries on mental health stuff like, I also run an organization where we work on ad films and documentary and corporate films. That's our bread and butter. Okay. And because we got a setup and because we got everything going there, we actually use our free time. Not that we are employed 30 days a month anyway. So we use our free time to do stuff which I like doing. Where there's no client interference, I can do what I want. And over the years, the experience that I've got myself into, I want to try new styles of filmmaking. And since I'm a writer and a editor and a director and a cinematographer as a combo, I can do what I want. So I like to experiment. And that's how the whole thing grew. And I love subject, I love people, you know. And coming from Film Institute, yeah, we got the basic aesthetics in place, and we take it further. So it's not like we are here on charity. It is just I spend my time, like my 3 coffee table books I've worked on. It's all a personal thing, you know. And I pick up a subject. And I like to pick up a subject for that's personal. Documentary is a very personal stuff. But it also leads you to documentary films which are financially viable. Like I have made a film on India's most successful racehorse, Elusive Pimpernel, okay? That was sponsored. Then I made a film on South African soccer. You know, so there are documentaries I do also for clients because even though it's not really considered a financially viable project in Indian conditions, there still are people who are trying to do things where they do pay you something for it. And yeah, and they let you do what you want to do. So it's quite fun. So I've done films across various subjects. And personally, I make my films and I make them also in the coffee table book. The challenge here is how do you write for a film, which is very different from writing for a coffee table book. So it's fascinating when I take the same subject and I write for both. You know, even though the content is exactly the same, how do you reword it? How do you look at it? I'm sure Arjun, you understand, you know, both of you understand in terms of being in the business. It's fun. So I enjoy doing that. I don't like not doing anything. So this is where I come from. We have a company which is into corporates. Okay, when I say 2,000 films, out of which probably 1,900 are corporate films or EVs or ad films or serials. So I started my journey as a editor for most of the television serials. Then I got bored. Then I became a cameraman editor for those serials. I got bored. So I started my own company in '94. And that journey went on from there. So yeah, even though I'm not into the space of wedding photography, I do watch stuff which people have done because it's the hottest thing today and everybody likes to show me something. I'm the grand old man of Bangalore, so everybody has some connect with me or other in the process. So
Right.
yeah, so that's where it comes
So,
from. No, we are not.
tell us about the 2 films that you were talking about. Tell us about the creative process behind that and what was your frame of mind when you started that project. We would love to hear, your experience regarding that.
Yeah, I would like to add one more film, which is my favorite film and which is my most successful documentary. It's called The White Lady, and it's a film about women in drug addiction. Okay, you guys must check it out. It's called The White Lady, Malice in Wonderland. Okay, which actually was shown at the Film Institute as an appreciation film for different. So that's really a stylized documentary. It's fabulous. Personally, my interest. Elusive Pimpernel was about a horse. This was way back in '97. And I had this the client from Rediffusion who said, there is my client's horse. This was the Eveready director. I keep forgetting his name. I don't know if familiar with him. That he had a horse called Elusive Pimpernel. Okay, and the Eveready was the client for contract and bidding. So they want and this horse had finished its term, and he was being taken to the stud farm. So before he left Bangalore racecourse, they said, why don't you just shoot some shots of this guy running around? We just want it for posterity. And that's what that was a brief. And I had no clue what a horse was, what race horse was definitely, because it was taboo to go to a racing course. My mom hit the roof when she heard I went to the race course. She said that's the only thing left in your life. You have a bad habit. So, but when I went there and I started looking at this horse and shooting him, I found he was amazing. He was an amazing guy. And I got involved more and more. And what was supposed to be a 3-day shoot, it took about 6 months to make the film. And I made it on my own because I loved the horse. So every weekend, till he was there, I was with them. And I started researching, doing more work. And those days, we didn't have the kind of tapes we used to get. So actually, I had to find the 23 races he had run. Good quality, bad quality, all kinds of VHS tapes and high band beta tapes and stuff like that. I got them all. That took me a lot of time, and I made a film. The client was pissed off because it took 6 months, and then the owner was pissed off. Okay, he didn't want to even look at my face, and I had the audacity by the end of it to tell the client, "Season is gone to the stud. I want a shot in the stud farm." This was after 5.5 months. Okay, the client said, "No way." Yes. Just give us the rushes, whatever you've done, forget about the film. So luckily, the clients were close to me because of the relationship I had, and they actually said, okay, we'll pay you for the trip. So they paid for the airfare, and I shot this guy because I had no shot of him without the bridal. So when I made the film, and the owner refused to come on for the film, he said, "Nahi, enough is enough." But when they saw the film, the owner actually invited me to Kolkata, and he gave me a 3-day holiday. And I shot his interview and put it up. And it's still considered the only film, on an Indian resource. And I just recently heard it's got more than 10,000 views without even me showing it to anybody. Which felt 50,000 views, sorry, 50,000 views, and which felt very good. So that's one part. But the other one was, which is quite a very interesting story, that the African film was an accident, where somebody just called up one day and said, you know what, Bala, Africa is pitching for the World Cup. We want a film about our history. I had no clue how they got to know about me, and so they took me there. It was very peanutty budget. But it's fun because they're putting me up and I could experience something. And yeah, that turned out well. And actually, South Africa hosted the World Cup a couple of years after that. But the film on the drug addiction is fascinating. I would really love both of you, since you're in the same field, to watch that film. I just read an article about a couple of women who set up a drug rehab center for women. I got in touch with them, and the film went on. And it took me about a year took me just 2 days to shoot the film. Okay, so a bunch of interviews and a bunch of shots. Or maximum 4 days for the shoot. But the process took 4 years. Okay, because I couldn't get the script right. There was something missing when I was working on it. And after 3 years, I think I met somebody who was attending my workshop, and she said, I want to work with you. And I asked her what she does. She said, all right. So I said, okay, can you help me with the script? And she came out with some interesting thought process, which triggered the script for the film, which is today considered one of the best in documentary style filmmaking. So these are my two stories. I just go with the flow. I think my biggest advantage is I'm a cameraman, editor, writer. So I can actually fool around. When I'm writing, I'm already finished my editing. So I look at it from the point of view of how I'm going to go or what I'm going to do. And that helps me.
Nice.
And I love talking to people. So I'm open to ideas. That's one thing I think I like about myself. I'm not stuck with any ego or, that I'm a filmmaker kind of tag. For me, it's just another job, which I enjoy. It's where it is.
Thank you for
It's
sharing
not really
that.
a process and stuff. I really don't go by that. I just want to say something. I like to say how best I can say it and how simply can I say it.
Got it. So I think we have Sudheer joining us. Hi, Sudheer. Sudheer is a wedding, fashion, nature, and travel photographer, and he's a filmmaker based out of Sri Lanka. Sudheer, if I'm not wrong. And Sudheer
exactly.
is
Right,
also
Ramit.
associated with INBA, that's Indica Bandara, and creates beautiful films of brides and films for the artists. So Sudheer, over to you. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your journey of becoming a photographer, filmmaker, and what is it that you like to do?
Actually, hi to all, Arjun, Ramit, and everyone. I am having a problem with the screen. I can't see others, but so nice to join from Sri Lanka this evening. And actually, I am a makeup artist as well, so I am in the business of the bridal. So, and of course, I'm doing the photography and the video story making for the bridals. Especially, it came out once we started with the makeup art and doing the bridals. Then after I actually discovered there is a possibility and some kind of interest towards the photography as well and the capturing angles and all. A lot of people tend to admire it and they ask, why don't you do this, start this one, and these are actually very interesting to see. And nowadays with the social media background and everything, we used to do this storytelling. Actually, these trailers and all became very popular. So those are the basic things nowadays we are stick to, and we are doing it very kind of nice way that we are getting a lot of interest comments and lot of encouragement from the brides and other their relatives and who are engaged in the business.
Nice, nice. So I think coming back to wedding films, it was a very insightful information given by Bala about how he does documentaries. So Arjun, why don't you tell us how and why wedding films are getting crazy popular in India now, and what is really going on in the post-COVID wedding world in India?
Okay, that's. I'll give you the short answer and the long answer. I think the short answer is Instagram. Okay, I think Instagram is the one and only reason why everything is becoming popular nowadays, because everyone wants good short form content for social media, and social media is driving a lot of views nowadays in terms of what people want. But the more serious and long answer, I think, lies in the format. Now, if you think about it, 15, 20 years ago, when videography slowly started becoming mainstream, like Bala sir said, clients really didn't expect much. They gave you two rolls of film and said, you know what, use these two rolls, and whatever comes out, be happy with. Right. So even as things progressed from beta tapes into, into CDs and DVDs, and then finally, and into digital video that it is now. Nowadays, everyone understands that it's very easy to shoot video. It's very easy to edit it. It is very easy to be able to shoot, gigabytes of footage and not really worry about it. Now, the fact that technology has transformed into what used to be very, very user unfriendly to what is now perceived as user friendly, is also why the expectations for the quality of video, the creativity in video, the amount of footage shot, the amount of coverage done at a wedding has actually gone up. Now, the reason why I think people really want, fun videos, and the reason why people expect a proper Bollywood slash Hollywood level of production is because of the bar that has currently been set by the industry. And I'm very happy to say that the bar is very high. Now, if you look at the average wedding film today, I mean, you've got everything spot on. You've got the best equipment being used. You've got cinematic color grading happening. You've got extremely high frame rates. Frame rates that earlier, I would say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, was only available in the most expensive Keanu Reeves movie or a Matrix movie and things like that. And all of this has now been brought into weddings. So I would honestly say the advances in technology plus the reach that video now has, all of which has come together to actually make wedding video a very, very sought after genre per se, and a genre that honestly now borders on excellence. So that 90-minute wedding film today has everything. It's got a star cast. It's got VFX. It's got sound effects. It's got proper color grading. It's got fast paced editing. It's got everything. So it's actually got everything. In fact, even if I think today, if anyone saw somebody else's wedding film, even though you won't really know who those people are, but when you actually watch it, it runs like a cinematic film, and it's extremely entertaining to watch. So I think all of this put together has made wedding cinematography something that is now, I think, at the peak of its genre, and something that really, really, I am very interested to see where it goes in the next 10 years.
So, same question, Sudheer. Do you feel that is the same in Sri Lanka, especially after the economic meltdown and the crisis that your country is going through, or is filmmaking really big in Sri Lanka now, or is it coming up? Are you sort of compensated thoroughly monetarily, or is it a struggle?
Yeah, with the kind of economic crisis in Sri Lanka nowadays, actually it has a lot of impact on the every business. It's not only the wedding industry, but the positive parts actually with the social media and other platforms let us to reach the customers without this because we no need to travel everywhere, because especially this Espousal, when we started this program, it was like peak time of the COVID, but lot of people actually enjoyed this platform because they could get in touch with a lot of professionals all around the world without this even there was a lot of travel restriction and all, but it gave a good like a stage to showcase your products and everything regarding the wedding and what we do with the customers. So it was a very nice opportunity. So, and the other thing that everyone, as we know, is Facebook and the Instagram was the other platforms that we are mostly using. And in Sri Lanka, it became very popular nowadays, especially the Instagram. And it's these stories actually have a lot of impact with the customers. So they like it very much, and it has a very brief, like a very limited time period, but it gained a lot of views and lot of involvement, lot of comments, lot of loves, so a lot of reactions. So that's the thing now. And as Arjun said, actually it has become very easy nowadays, like get in touch with the video making, trailer making. So it has a lot of apps, and even if you got a good phone, you can do the videos, and you can, with a little app, you can do it kind of very nice job. And a lot of people do enjoy those little stories, and even it's a 20-second, but it has a lot of impact on your business. So it is indeed nowadays the social media is the main platform for the businesses nowadays in Sri Lanka as well.
Bala, how big is the role of Instagram and YouTube or OTT platforms in your kind of work, especially documentary films or ad films? How big are they when it comes to promoting your work and not the client?
See, I don't know. I could be you might call me old-fashioned, but being in the business where we also deal with social media promotion and stuff like that, they're talking of numbers and things like that. But somehow I don't think it's a very personal opinion. I've been hammered for this, but I still believe that it doesn't really get you the right audience that you are seeking. You might get a lot of likes, you might get a lot of stuff. It might be, but I still don't think the conversion of getting to the right people, the stuff is as good as it should be. So I'm not a great fan of the social media, even though I know that you need to be seen, there are people watching you, and but I still think it's restricted to a certain community that you already are connected with in some other way, who know you. How much.
But don't you think the content that you create eventually lands up in social media and it is absorbed in social media?
See, again, it depends on when you talk social media. Is everything online social media? Then yes. Okay. Like if you look at my films are on my channel, my production house channels. Okay. Yeah, they are going. You can promote it. But again, the subjects are so unique and very, they're not, how do you put it? It's not for the general masses. Even though the subjects are general mass stories, they're still not general mass. Like mental health films. Unless you're somewhere are relating yourself to the issue, you're not going to click on my film. No chance. Okay? You're not going to click on a horse film. You're not going to click. All my films are for general because the horse film has actually got a story. Well, it taught me a lot of life skills. I still have the horse show after 20 years. Okay? Because that horse taught me a lot of things. It was amazing. It was a horse given away to the owner free of cost because he was stupid when he was born. He looked stupid. And the horse went on to become the first millionaire, of the Indian racing scenario. So the story was brilliant. And out of 23 races, he won 22 and lost the 23rd by a nose. So those stories which actually are open to the public. The public should watch it, but nobody's going to watch it. Okay? So right. Yes, I have been accused of not promoting my work. Okay, so I just go on to the next work immediately. I don't even think of what I did before, and it mostly goes by word of mouth. People have liked what I did, and we have survived 30 odd years in the business. So we are there. But I don't still think a social media, yeah, it can give you a boost. You will possibly recognize me easier if I was on social media, or I can tell you things which I don't even do on social media. So nobody's going to actually relate things. And that's what I have done as a research experience, because social media is one of the biggest causes of mental health issues today. If you look at the anxiety and depression and addiction, for example, the biggest cause today is looked at as a social media influence. So having researched on social media from a different angle, I realize it's not really what I want, but it's important today to say I did this work or I am doing this work. It's a good show-off point, which again, coming from a different generation, I'm not used to. I still have got a daughter and my other friends visiting. We have to put it up there. I still don't know what it is, even though we have a lot of clients with whom we work on this. But the younger generation takes over because I'm still, I wouldn't call cynical, but I'm still not sure. I think your work will show for itself in the long process, and you will work with the right people as we go by.
Right. So I think I'm going to touch
So yeah,
on
if I'm doing some kind of work which is good, then it actually passed on, because I'm going to show it to the right people, and the right people are going to connect me to the righter people. You know what I mean? And I think in the process is how I think I have grown. Because the biggest problem I face, coming from 3 generations of filmmaking in the corporate world and that world, is today everybody is a filmmaker. Okay? And the worst thing you get is when you show it final film to client, he'll show it to a sister-in-law in US who is supposed to be an expert in the in the business. Or they'll say, I don't like red, I don't like blue. They forget the big story. Okay? And all of them for sure have got a son, daughter, daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, son-in-law, who is somewhere working on this medium and who knows better than you do. And that's sort of we are not used to. I come from a generation where we are not used to. It's difficult for me to take it. The younger guys manage it somehow. Hats off to them. They deal with it. But coming to I think one thing I would like to talk about wedding films is if the filmmaker can get slightly involved in the bigger screen filmmaking, I think you can add a lot more value to the wedding film, especially in the script part of it. Because most of the films are watched by people who already know you, or they know the family, or know this, so they enjoy everything. It's like sitting and watching the good old albums of yesteryears. Everybody thinks they're enjoying the photographs. After 5 minutes, I'm sure everyone's getting bored, but then you watch it. So I'm just being straightforward here. But if we can create a script, if that person can actually get involved in the mainstream filmmaking somewhere, at least show interest, and add the learning he gets from the mainstream documentary filmmaking and introduce it in the wedding filmmaking, I think the whole structure of watching the movie would be different. It will no longer become just a wedding film. It can go far beyond that. That's what I think can be really added. That's something I've not seen in the films I've watched. There's a lot of quality, very good quality. Like I said, today technology has given you that access to extreme quality. There's a lot of editing styles, which are more, again, I come from the old fashioned, so, I don't like this fast cuts and stuff like that. I think everything's got a meaning as a filmmaker. Every visual has got a feel. Sometimes I don't think that's missing. Sometimes I think they're brilliant. I love the way some people conceive the edit structure. There's a lot to learn from that. But I think script still lacks that finesse, which I come from as a documentary filmmaker. If you can add the documentary filmmaking style to a wedding film, I think it'll be fabulous. Because there's more happening than just the couple and the family. There's a lot more happening. If we can archive that for posterity, I think that'd be fabulous. That's what every time I watch a wedding film, I just think I wish,
I think, Bala, what you're saying is to adding like a raw aspect to wedding films. I think Arjun would agree that we have added that a lot many times in our films, and then what happens is the family in turn comes back and says that, hey, this is not looking glamorous. This is not looking fabulous or like a fashion shoot. Or I spent like X amount in my wedding. यार ये आप behind the scenes क्यों दिखा रहे हो? So that is where there is a huge disconnect when we try to add more personalization to a wedding film, rather than keeping a wedding film more of like a vanity or a big showcase or a show award kind of a film. So we have, I was an assistant director with UTV, and I used to work on animation films and documentary films, and so I tried to use that knowledge when I started, and then it was actually not taken very positively in the wedding market, and we had to resort to come back to a little more commercial ways, adding those fast cuts and whatever is
I know.
on, and so it is. I think it is like a mixed bag of feelings. So I think I have just received a note that we have just 5 minutes left. So I'm going to touch one more topic, and I think I'll start with Arjun, and then all of you answer the same. What is your pitching process when it comes to your projects? Like for me, my pitching process is showcasing our work and trying to reach to clients. Like Bala said, right now via social media we are not able to touch the right audience, and it's the same with us. Social media is a lot of absorption of content, but of course we don't get the right kind of leads that we want when we want to generate business, or we don't get the right eyeballs when we want to create business. So, Arjun, coming to you as a filmmaker, how do you manage, your creativity and business, and how do you pitch your work to a client, be it in a meeting or be it as a whole, like a website or on social media? How do you pitch that you are what you are?
Okay. I mean, okay. I'm going to answer your question, but before I do, I just wanted to tell everyone who's listening to us right now. Listen, guys, let's keep it interactive. I know we have very little time left. So if you're online and if you can hear me, use the chat button. Say hi. I would really, really like to know, who's online and who's listening,
If
and
there is anybody other
and what's
than the
going on.
four of us.
Okay, not if not, I think the four of us will have fun. I wish we could do it over a
Yeah.
beer, but but anyway. But Ramit, on a serious note, to answer your question, see, pitching means something different to me because as you had initially said, I come from an advertising background, and in ads, a pitch is very different from the way we define a pitch in wedding films. Now, in most clients who I speak with, and most clients who are probably in a room with me across the table looking at what I'm showing them, these are clients who are already sold with our work. Okay, so these are clients who've already seen what we do. They've probably been introduced to us by someone. Maybe they were referred to us by someone else, or they saw us on Instagram, like we were just talking about. So most of these clients are already half sold. Okay, so the reason they're speaking with me is because they've already seen my films. They like what they see. They like the general mood. They like the way it's been put together. And essentially, the discussion is more in terms of what I can do for them and what they can do for me. Now, I make no bones about this. I tell people that, look, my job as a documentary filmmaker is to showcase your wedding the way it happened. If you had a city wedding, I cannot make it look like a destination wedding. If you have a destination wedding, I cannot make it look like a big bang, huge production. So, in general, if you're having an intimate wedding, I cannot make it look like a big fancy 1,000 packs wedding. So the idea is to try and keep people grounded in reality. In fact, touching upon what you just said, when the client comes to us and says, you know what, I've spent so many crores on the wedding, and I want my film to like that. I mean, that's the first thing I try and discourage them from, and say that, look, my job is to as a documentary filmmaker is to help you remember this day 20 years later. Now, if I don't stay true to form, and if I create something that didn't happen, I mean, I can do that. I mean, look, as filmmakers, we can create whatever we want, right? But if I create something that is not true, and if I create something that does not help them remember, so when they watch the film 10 years later, when they watch the film 20 years later, it will seem like someone else's wedding. So that is, one of the first things I try and get across and communicate, that, look, the reason you're coming to me is because I put a lot of work into making sure that your wedding film is grounded in reality, and your wedding film is true to how you are as people, because every couple is different. Some couples are fun, some couples are lively, some couples are, camera friendly, some are camera shy, some are party animals, some are not. So, I mean, so if you try and create a film with the wrong pace and fit it onto the wrong couple, that doesn't work. So again, so just to answer your question, I know we don't have much time left, but I try and not pitch my work. I try and show them what I do, and I try and explain my creative process, and I try and explain, what I can do for them, and what my vision for their wedding is. I mean, as much as I can do it in a 5 minute meeting. And if they like it, great, and if they don't like it, I am the first person to say that, look, the creative process is not a fit all. I mean, one sock doesn't fit everyone. It's not. I mean, one glove doesn't fit everyone. And if what I'm telling you doesn't resonate with you, then we are not the filmmakers for you, and we are not the photography team for you. And that usually works. Now, to be honest, 95% of the time they like what they hear, and they are they're okay with it. But sometimes, I mean, I have had clients who come to me and said, Arjun, we wanted to look grand, and we wanted to look amazing, and we wanted to look beautiful. So I ask them, all right, where's the wedding? And they say, oh, it's in Taj Palace in Delhi. So then I sit back and I say, look, it's a city wedding, and there's really not much I can do, because there's it's all inside a banquet hall, and inside a banquet hall there's very limited grandness that you can show. And sometimes they understand, sometimes they don't, and if they don't, then I think it's the wrong fit, and then I shake their hand and say that, what, it was lovely meeting you, and best of luck. So that's how it works. I mean, so long story short, I try and not pitch my work. I talk about who I am and what I do, and if they like it, great, and if they don't like it, I think it's better service to the client, because it'll lead to surprises later.
What about you, Sudheer? What is your process of connecting with the clients and taking, how do you sell your stories?
Yeah, the thing is, actually, I do agree with Arjun as well, because we have to understand the character of the client, actually. Otherwise, we cannot do something which match the face of the livelihood and the characteristics, because they do have a kind of, some of them are cheerful, some of them are a bit awkward, so they have different characters. So because we have a lot of experience once we get into the business. So actually, here actually I have a different comment contrary to this, because of the social media impact. Actually, here in Sri Lanka nowadays, we have a good like business from the Instagram and the Facebook, because impact, actually a lot of clients nowadays, they have a good views on our jobs, and they see most of our products there. So rather than because nowadays we don't focus on websites and all, and like electronic media such as television, because 10 years back, if we talk, we haven't got that impact, so we had to go through television channels, ads and all. But now it's a different scenario, and the impact age as well is really good, because nowadays who are getting married around like 25 35 in between ages, so a lot of involvement from those crowd. And that's why we focus on the media, actually social media, to uh, take our business and take our work towards the clientele. And as well, that making the video, these weddings and all, because we have different events like destination weddings inside the banquet. So always what I do, actually, I usually talk with them more before this scenario starts. So once we meet, like we do have 3-4 meetings, and try to understand what is their character, actually, not what they want, but what is their character and how they deal with the people, and what they exactly want from my end. So once we are getting close with the feelings, actually we can do a better job there. And a lot of events, actually we get friendly, and we start like the family member, then we can get in touch, and we can do a lot of things, actually they might never expect from us. And also that when we are coming to the like trailers and all, we do have to highlight their character and what they got speciality. So that's what we do. So sometimes their smile may be the main thing, actually don't want to highlight the bright smile or the groom's smile. So some of the time we don't see those type of emotional feelings, but we do have details then. So that's how we do the business, and that's how we make it something special for the event. And because of that thing, they should have a like this emotional feeling once they see it after like 10, 15 or 20 years later. That's how we did it, and that's what we were there. So that's, I think, very important to understand the character and deal with it.
So I think what Sudheer and Arjun have said is, they generally don't pitch. They put the flowers out and let the bees come to them. So I think I'm going to agree to that when it comes to social media. That is how generally it is working. Bala,
Yeah.
before we leave, I would like to hear one input from you for us, wedding photographers who are probably one third of your experience. We're just kids in front of you in your experience. So, what do you feel is going to help us as wedding filmmakers in the long run? Like I said, your suggestion about adding a little bit of a raw documentary format is something that we have tried and which has kind of failed in the past. So do you think there's something else that we can add a little more personal touch to our wedding films and probably be a little more strong in storytelling, or something that you feel might change the route of wedding films?
Yeah, see, basically storytelling is what it's all about, and your scripting is what it's all about. So even if you're showing a backstage, you can make it interesting. You can add value to it. So it's all about scripting. And how do you keep whatever you're going to show to impress the audience? See, ultimately, what is happening with wedding films is you're still talking about showing it to the couple and the other families. Look at it as a bigger audience. And even like you said, they may not like to see what is happening in the background or the back end of the wedding. But if you can script it interestingly and shoot that interestingly and project it, that will catch up. See, whatever you're seeing today has caught up. I've seen a similar film as early as '96, made by INBA of those days. Okay, where I actually saw the full-fledged wedding film, which was brilliantly done. But I think what I do normally, what I do? I actually make a film of the way I like it. Okay, totally the way I like it. And I show it to the client. 8 out of 10, the clients do appreciate. Okay, because they're seeing a perspective which they had not seen before. And these are open kind of, my age group clients or slightly younger to me clients. But the much younger to me are very difficult. I totally buy that. Because they need to tell you something. Or if they don't find anything, they'll say music technique. If they can't find any other fault, they find a fault in music. So that's what. But what I do is I make the film the way I want it. But I trust myself as a filmmaker. Okay, and then you show the film, and the client say, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, blah, 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 whatever he wants to comment. I try convincing them once, twice. I'm being nice, I can do it third time. If they don't agree, I just chop it. And I give them the film the way they want. Okay? And the story ends there, everyone's very happy. But what happens in the process is I look at the opportunity of going to the location and shooting stuff. Then the doors open up. So I can do what I want. And I bring in my filmmaker's perspective and opportunities to make the wedding film the way I wanted to make it. So what happens, that becomes a showcase. Tomorrow I might meet some guy who's intelligent enough to appreciate what I've done. So that gives me a totally new clientele. So even when I'm making corporate films or corporate ad films, you don't have much choices. But in corporate films, that's what I do. I totally make the film the way I want. I use styles the way I want. But I'm also alert the client will want the cliche. I'm alert of that. I'm not, running away or, being in denial of that. I'm alert of it. Because I'm prepared for all the comments the client is going to make. So it doesn't shock me, it doesn't come as a surprise to me. So I make the film the way I want. And like I told you, 80% of the time the clients love it. 20% of the time, yes, the client throws it out window. So I do it exactly the way he wants. As a matter of fact, there's an alternate script I record along with my original script, which is all the points the client likes. I also do it. That comes from experience of understand. But what I believe is when a client calls you, I think it's our moral duty to put in our experience into what he wants. He's not a filmmaker, okay?
Yes.
But can we put in our experience and educate him in the process? It might take some time, but it'll definitely happen. I'm seeing it. But I think as a professional, I have a commitment to bring in my experience. I have a commitment to try to educate him. And I would like to do that. And it's also a kind of creative, kick you get by doing what you want to do and making it look nice. I think that tickles your creative juices. So, it's like a win-win situation by end of it. But again, pitching is very strange because pitching never really works. Like Arjun said, I have never pitched in my whole life. They already come because they already know you, or they trust you, or somebody's told you, or they've seen your work. And that's a far easier way of getting into things than somebody calling you and said, give me a pitch. I said, no chance. I'm not wasting time pitching. But what they do is they take your idea and screw it up. So it's not worth it. It's not. Right. They really screw up. They really take this and give to their son-in-law makes films and they screw the film up. No, I will not pitch.
All right, guys. I think, Bala, we have run out of time. So on that note, thank you so much. We had Bala, Gandhekar, Sudheer, Vijay, and Arjun Kartha. And I am Ramit Batra. Thank you, Espousal, for having us all together in this little platform and having this conversation from different genres and different places, different countries. Thank you so much for being here and taking time out, guys. I wish you all the best and very good night.
Hey, we guys should keep in touch, okay? And that's the
of
course. All of us, I think somewhere we should exchange our phone numbers, addresses, or whatever.
We're all on that group, and yeah, we should drop in our hellos on the group before that group goes away on WhatsApp. So
yeah,
let's.
I think we should do that.
Let's stay
connected. Keep in touch. Lot to learn from you guys too. So it'll be fun.
Same here. I mean, there was such a huge amount of knowledge shared. So let's connect.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye then. Good night all.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Bala, Ramit, Arjun, and Sudheer for joining us today. It was indeed a very informative session, and we got to learn about you and your work.